Nothing is going to make you better at mixing other than experience. So you have to do it, which means finishing, sending it in, and taking your lashes. That means getting things wrong sometimes because it's part of it. You're not going to be 100% batting 100 every time as soon as you start doing this. It's just not how it works. Nothing teaches like experience. I learned from screwing up and getting feedback from people that I screwed up. I learned more in those cases than any other case. Any other situation, mixing a song, when you get it right and people tell you they love it, you don't learn anything from that really, which is fine. Sometimes there's learning experiences that you can get and sometimes you can't, but when you're growing in the beginning, you can't ever take offense to that criticism. Anybody that will talk to you and tell you what's wrong, you got to listen to them, because trust me when I tell you, you could try to get it out of them. It's really hard after you screw up somebody's baby, because that's like what it is. It's like they go to the hospital, they have a broken arm, and they come back and their arm's mutated. It's like, I thought you were going to fix my arm. No, mutated your arm. Well, that's what it's like when you mess up their mix. It's very similar. They look at it like you destroyed their baby. So they don't take kindly to it, and they don't just forgive you. It's a rare thing. In this profession, you're expected to bat 100 every time, which is just a high stakes, high, pressure situation every time you mix a song. That's fine. You have to be relaxed while you're doing it, not think about that and just make it sound amazing. But what I'm saying is there's a lot riding on each mix, because people forget very quickly. Unless you have a very good relationship with them, they don't really forgive you for messing up their baby, right? So what you got to realize is I've screwed up too. I want to share with you an email because it was funny and I found it. It was hilarious. I wanted to share with you. This is an email I got early in my career, professionally mixing for people, and this was their feedback. All right. Let me show you. I screenshot it, okay? I'm going to read it out loud. I just took it from the email so you wouldn't see the stuff on it. You know who it was from and stuff. Here we go. Ready? Bro. Now this is sent to me. After I sent the guy my mix, he said, bro, I'm going to be brutal and honest with you. You had way too much reverb and echo on it. Like, it sounds better on my unmixed version. This was recorded in a professional studio, yada yada, and now it sounds like I recorded it in my bathroom. No club in the world would bump this because of how much delay you have in it. That kind of effect is supposed to be subtle, but it competes for your attention with the rest of the music. You also didn't cut the breaths out. Sometimes if it's purposefully put in the song, then people accept the breath, but nobody wants to hear someone gulping and sucking air. Plus, it also competes with the rest of the mix and can also throw your delay off count with the rest of it. Please don't be offended. Just hear what I'm saying. Watch, make the changes I suggest, and it will sound better. Oh, if you do make the changes, I'd be glad to hear it. No hard feelings, I hope. Okay. At first, when you read something like that, you might say to yourself, I've chosen the wrong profession. You don't know or you could say to yourself, I must have screwed up. And that's ultimately what you do. You could be mad. It's fine to look at that and be like, damn, I thought I hit it out of the park. But then you just take a breath and then you got to do something else if you have to. And then eventually your head will just allow you to instantly be like, okay, what did I do wrong? And then you'll look at it and realize you must have done some stuff wrong. Now, when I sent this mix, this was, again, relatively early in my career. I didn't do well, Watch, it was 2 weeks ago. No, it wasn't. This thing was very long time ago. This is years, okay? But it's taught me so much, right? The biggest things people get wrong, what do? They're not thinking enough about the listening experience. So I may have been concentrating on something of the vocals so hard that I lost sight of the fact that I didn't take out the breaths. You got to take out the breaths. Otherwise, nobody wants to hear somebody sucking and gulping on the mic. Right. Makes total sense. When you use a lot of compression, I probably used too much compression too because I was a rookie. When you start using a little bit of compression or whatever, you know, you're going to be bringing up the breaths. You're going to be bringing up those moments that are a little bit quieter, because by smushing it, and then you'll be able to make it louder so you hear everything, and you'll have you'll have something go, you'll be able to hear the low level information in some fashion more, so that stuff, those breaths are going to come up, and if you don't take them out, it's not going to sound good. So you got to take them out. But again, some kind of music, like he's saying, dictates you could leave it, especially rock or like classical. There's certain times where, like, if you take it out, it would ruin the whole performance. So you know, you can't do that. But in situations like what he's talking about, absolutely. Huge thing people don't get is you got to either lower the breaths or take them out. In hip hop, a lot, you could take them out. You don't have to lower them, but if you want to make it sound more natural, you're going to want to hear them. So just make them lower. Don't take them out completely. And make sure it doesn't get caught up in your delay. That made so much sense what he said. Like, in other words, I don't know how I wouldn't have caught that or whatever, but like the breath was so loud that the delay actually grabbed it and like started to repeat the breath in the delay. Like, awful. My God. Can you believe that? Terrible. So anyway, the point is, I'm sharing this with you to let you know I'm human, and also that everyone has a beginning and everyone screws stuff up sometimes, but you never get better if you don't learn. And the way you learn is by screwing up and by doing. If you don't ever do, complete, finish, send it in, and get the feedback, you never get better. So this is, you know, what else? Yeah, so don't get offended. That's the big one. Never get offended. Also, too much reverb. I see this a lot. It's a very interesting thing, right? This factors in a lot to how you're listening, too, because certain things, like if you put on headphones, you know, you may hear, that's a good place to check reverbs and stuff, because you'll hear more of them. Whereas in your room, you may not hear it if your room's not treated well, your monitors aren't good, or it's not the right, you know, volume or whatever. If you may hear it less. So the point is, figure out a way to monitor stuff so you can get a sense of how much verb is actually happening, and err on the side of a little bit less, because that's definitely something that people, you know, depending on genre, again, especially in stuff like rap, hip-hop, don't let anything step on the flow of the lyrics, because it's very percussive, like drums. So you know, it's any kind of music this applies, but specifically music like that, as soon as you have anything too wet, it's going to be stepping on what's happening vocally. So, you know, I mix a lot of hip-hop, a lot of pop stuff, and it's, you know, when you do rap, I've noticed dry works, and you could put all sorts of, you know, the reverb with side chaining, so it's ducking down and doing cool things to give it ambiance and stuff, but it's got to get out of the way. It can't be in the way. That's why dry vocal works pretty well, you know. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you so you would also see that I had a beginning, and everybody does, and you need to be willing to hear feedback to get better. It's critical. So those are two mistakes that everybody probably makes. So hopefully you guys could learn from that stuff too. But don't put too much delay on anything. Don't put too much reverb on anything. If you're going to use reverb or delay, use it in a way that gets out of the way of everything else. Be aware of that. All right? And take out the breaths. Jesus, don't leave the breaths in once you've made the vocal sound nice and clear and present. Be aware of the breaths. All right? Take breaks when you're mixing. Zoom out so you can actually hear it. This was also probably one of those mixes where you learn a trick. After you work all day, you need to actually like reset before you hear it again to get a clear head to know it's good before you send it out. Never send out a mix if you're burnt out on it, because you'll have lost all perspective on where you are. So you have to at least take a break for a little while and then take a walk, come back, and, clear your head. But you need to have something else going on so that you can hear it with clean perspective, because Andrew Shep said this recently, and in an interview I saw it, and it was awesome. He said, infinite perspective is actually the key here. That's what we're all after. If you have infinite perspective, you can be amazing at mixing, because you need to be able to be zoomed in when you have to be, and then be totally perspective of a listener who's never even heard the song before. You need to be all the things in between while you're working on it. So just be listening, be open-minded, be willing to hear what's going on and let it do what it wants to do. Don't try to force things. You guys got this. Piece of cake. Talk to you soon. Custom Cut. Evan Jaffe.